welcome back to Kaplan's Career Goals. I'm your host, Kelsey Haslam, and today we have a very special guest. She founded Pennies to Pounds in 2019. It's Kia Commodore.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. I know that a lot of the crew are really big fans of you, so that's exciting.
It's really exciting, thank you.
So Pennies to Pounds, what is it and how did it start?
So Pennies to Pounds is a financial literacy platform that I started in 2019 with the aims of educating young people on personal finance because, as we've spoken about, it's just something that's not taught in schools, and money is something that we interact with every day. It's crucial to all of our living, yet many people don't understand things like credit and saving and budgeting and pensions. It just goes over everyone's heads, and it's no fault of anyone's because it's not taught, but I really wanted to kind of change that standard. And I wanted to start the platform because I got a lot of education from my parents, but when I actually came to seek further education, I wanted to learn a lot more, like what's income tax. I wanted to understand finances even more. When I looked online, it was just middle-aged white men based in America talking about money. It wasn't anyone that I could relate to, anyone that looked like me, and I just wasn't interested. So my parents had always taught me, you know, if there's something that you don't like, then be the change. So I really wanted to create the platform and create for people who look like me, came from a background like mine because I was born and raised in one of the poorest boroughs in London. And I just wanted to be the face for people who wanted to learn about finance, but maybe thought it was boring or thought it was inaccessible, because when they go online, there's people who it's all these traders in America, it doesn't make sense, it's not for me. So that was kind of the biggest motivation behind starting it, because I was 21 when I started it. And yeah, since then we've grown. It's a great hub for young people. We've got a massive base of young people who want to learn, and not just young people, which is what surprised me. We've got people of all ages. I've got parents who message me. I've got people who are, you know, about to take their pension to follow us. And just everyone wants to learn, and I'm just glad to have created a place that people can come and learn. And the biggest thing for us is that we want to demystify financial jargon. You know, if you hear these big words like bonds and ETFs and stocks and shares, what does that actually mean? And I just want to make sure that people will actually understand it in a way that makes sense. So then they can, when they see it again in a news article, you're like, oh, I know what a bond is now because I've learned it from Pennies to Pounds. I get what that means when they say talking about bonds when it comes to investing or whatever it is.
Yeah, no, I really love that everything that you've just said. I think that's a topic that comes up a lot, like the stereotypical like accountant or finance professional. And it is nice to kind of emphasise that it can be diverse and it can be fun, and you've taken something you've taken finance, which might be like very traditional and like some people think are boring. You've turned it into a social media career and fun. And like I know that when we mentioned like having you on here, like all of us knew what Pennies to Pounds was. So like you're reaching your target audience, but like yeah, it's nice to see that you've made it from boring to...
Thank you. Well, I'm glad that has been the case. It's not been easy. I mean, I think when you do something like this, there is no clear path. I think other things that you do, it's like, oh, it makes sense. There's certain steps that you take. You start from here and you move here. When I started my platform, there was no clear path. I didn't know how I was going to grow. I didn't know if I was going to grow. And like with the podcast, when I first started, my aim for the year was to get 10,000 streams. Because I thought people aren't going to be interested, but if I get 10,000 in 1 year, that's incredible. That's great. And we ended up getting 10,000 in 2 months. Wow. So it just goes to show that people want to learn that information. And I think that's what kind of kept me going. I said, right, I don't have a clear path. I'm just going to keep going and just figure out as I go along.
I love that. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Is there anything, because I know that you've just said that your parents have taught you quite a lot. Is there anything that you wish you knew that you didn't before starting Pennies to Pounds?
It's a really good question. I think I wish I had a better understanding before starting Pennies to Pounds on taxes. So I understood taxes to a degree, but not in its entirety. I think taxes is something that impacts everyone. Once you are in the workforce, you're going to pay some sort of tax, right? Yeah. And I didn't fully understand what personal allowance was. And I think what a lot of people don't realise as well is that, you know, tax bands is not on all of your income. It's actually depending on where your income falls. I think I wish I had a better understanding of what that meant. And obviously as someone who owns a business, the business side, so corporation tax, what does that actually look like as well?
So obviously it's been a really big success since 2019. What inspired you to come up with the idea of Pennies to Pounds?
So it was when I was in university. I was in first year of university, and as you do, I'd moved out from home. So I had a lot of friends who, you know, for many people, myself included, it's the first time that you're gonna have to manage your money, pay bills, all those kind of things that your parents take care of.
Yeah.
And I remember that was the first time I ever knew you had to pay for Wi-Fi. I didn't know you had to do all those kind of things. And thankfully, I had a lot of that education from my parents, but my friends didn't have that. So they come to me to understand, how should I budget? How do I do my weekly shop? I don't know how to actually manage my money. So initially I would, you know, do one-to-one to my friends, or I started creating videos for them. So I'd create like YouTube videos for them. And then I realized, you know what, if my friends had this issue, there's probably people amongst us, similar age group, who probably have this issue too. So I took to social media, creating content. And then it was in 2019, I created a Twitter thread on the Help to Buy ISA, which was closing at the time, and that went viral. And yeah, the rest was history. It kind of went from there.
Oh wow, yeah. No, I was the exact same. Like when I went to uni, the thing that shocked me the most was the price of cheese. Like,
everything is so expensive. You kind of take for granted that your parents pay for everything until you need to do it, and you're like, wow, that's so expensive.
Literally, like it is. So I wish I had a friend like you, honestly. Cause, so you said that your parents like kind of taught you that.
Me, yeah.
So is it to do with their career, or is it just?
No, I think growing up, so my parents had me fairly young in their early 20s, and I think as many people do, they had to figure out life and figure out money that comes with it. And they had made their own mistakes and rectified that by the time they had me. So they made a point to make sure that their kids didn't go through the same thing that they did. So my dad would, at different points in my life, you know, I remember open up a junior account of my mum, and then we take monthly trips to the bank, and I'd put in my money. I had my little coin jar, and I'd go with her and put it in. And I had like a little, I think it's like a savings book where they'd write down how much I had in savings.
Yeah.
So I was always encouraged to be proactive when it comes to money and learn how that works. And then when I got to secondary school, that's when I started a business. I think I was 11, something like that. And I was one of those infamous kids who was selling cookies and donuts at school. I was one of those kids. I had a whole empire. I was making a lot of money, but because I'd had those lessons from my parents, I knew how to manage my money, how to save. So that's kind of the things that they taught me. And then when I got to university, that was when my dad was like, ready to budget your money. You're not gonna have a lot of money. And I always laugh. We laugh at it now, but when my dad left me at university, so I moved like 3 hours away from home, he took me food shopping, and I remember he bought me a raw chicken, a bag of potatoes, and a bag of vegetables, and he gave me £10, and he said, enjoy university. That was him. He said, you'll figure it out, I believe in you, enjoy uni. And so then from there, that was like, right, I need to actually budget, I need to not spend a lot of money. I had some savings because I'd worked during the summer before university, but I said, right, I need to actually make sure that this money lasts me, and I'm not going to be in debt, or I'm not going to have anything like that.
Yeah, I love that, especially because like you've not had it handed to you. I love that idea, because I know that people do worry when they go into like adulthood that they're going to just be left to it. If they've not got parents that are just going to bail them out every time, they worry about being, like I know I was like that, like I had to find out the hard way how to budget money and stuff.
Absolutely. My dad he did not hand that to me. I'll tell you that for free. That was not handed to me. I had many things where I'd call him up and I'd be like, please help me. I need help. Can you just send me some money? And he'd be like, no, you need to figure it out. And I'm grateful now. I'm glad he did that, because it made me learn and actually be very hands-on when it comes to money.
Yeah, and I think they don't even teach you stuff like that in school. Like that stuff that you've just said, like you said about the Twitter thread that went viral. No one learns that in school. Like it might, like from my experience anyway. Have you found that that's changed at all since you've been more on top of everything?
Yeah, so I know that there's a lot of different institutions now who are campaigning for it to be taught in schools, and I know a lot of schools are bringing in external people. So I've gone into schools myself, and there's different people who do the same thing. Will it be part of the curriculum? Yeah. I'm not sure, but I'm glad that we're making more of a step, and that there are external people who are coming and teaching those kind of things, because when I was at school I didn't get taught any of that. When I went to sixth form, didn't get any of that. When I went to university, when I thought I definitely would, because I'm here now, didn't get any of that. But I'm glad that the generations after me are starting to get a bit more of that through the academia.
So we're going to jump in and play a game of word association. Okay. Really simple. What I'll do is I'll read out words and you just tell me the first word that comes to mind. Okay. And we'll just keep going through the list. Is that okay?
Yes, let's go.
Studying.
Hard.
Exams.
Fun.
Finance.
Exciting.
Education.
Essential.
Home.
Comfort.
Budget.
Necessary.
School.
Friends.
Books.
Fun. I know I repeat the word. I know it's probably not allowed. I repeat the word. I know.
Money.
Oh, money. Learning.
Kaplan.
Studies.
Apprenticeship.
Dream.
I like some answers. Everything that you just said then was really positive.
Mm-hmm.
Is that just you? Like,
Am I just really positive? No, I think I'm very much so a realist, but I think the things that you said there, people have a different outlook. So I think depending on your upbringing, when it comes to like money and studies, you might have a different outlook. But I loved being in school. I loved studying. It wasn't easy, which is why I said hard was the first one. Yeah. But I really enjoyed studying. I love reading. I do enjoy books. And I think the reason I said dream for apprenticeship is that when I was in school, I didn't know about apprenticeships. That wasn't something that was encouraged or as an option for me. So I think if I had my time again, it's something that I would have definitely explored. So I wish I had that option when I was at school.
Yeah. With exams, is that the one where you said exciting?
Yes.
Too?
Yeah.
So like, why is that? Like, do you not worry?
I mean, I do worry. I mean, I'm not like some weird alien who absolutely loves exams. But I think if you compare it to coursework, I think I definitely excelled more in exams. Yeah. I think I like learning theory and I like having to answer set questions. So, you know, if there's a question here, I need to actually figure out the theory. I think coursework, I realized at university that was not my thing. I mean, I did it and I did well, but if out of the two, I'd much rather sit a 2-3 hour exam than do coursework for sure.
So it's like performing well under pressure as well, like that time pressure.
Yeah, I prefer that, 100%.
With apprenticeships, like, would you have considered, how would you have done an apprenticeship if it was different?
When you're 17, 18, having to make such a big decision, like going to university or knowing what to study next, is huge, right? And I don't think some schools give you a lot of guidance, others maybe not so much. And I didn't know what to study. Yeah. So I just defaulted to what I was good at. I just looked at my grades and I said, what have I done really well in? And that's how I chose my degree. So I think if I had gone down the apprenticeship route, I would have explored a plethora of things. I might have gone down finance, I might have done computer sciences. There's a whole host of things. Am
I right in saying that you've been to, is it Zanzibar?
I have, yes.
Recently?
Yes.
On a wellness retreat?
I did, yeah.
How did that come about?
So that was interesting. I was on social media and scrolling as everyone does. And I come across this video of like this wellness retreat and I'm someone who works quite a lot. I love what I do, so I'm always working. And I said, you know what, maybe I should rest. Maybe I should do something and actually rest. So I came across a wellness retreat and I had a conversation with the people who were hosting it. And I actually hosted a financial wellness workshop on a retreat as well to everyone who attended. And it was a great time. It was 7 days in Zanzibar. It was incredible. Did so many amazing things. And it was really nice. It was actually a good time to relax, which I don't do very often. Yeah. But I actually got to relax as well.
And like working at the same time. But
exactly.
Nice
exactly.
balance.
Yeah.
I love that. That sounds like the dream. Do you get to travel a lot with work?
Yes, I travel a lot with work and I just travel in general because I love to see the world. And I think because we had, a couple of years ago, everyone knows that we had time where we were locked down, we couldn't go anywhere. Now we've come out of that. I'm like, I just want to travel and see the world. Thankfully, I do get to go to a lot of places and do different financial things in different countries. But like I said, just in general, I just love to be in different countries. If you're somewhere where it's cold, I want to go somewhere where it's hot.
Where would you say the best place you've been is?
Oh, that's a good question. I think my favourite places, Zanzibar is definitely one, and I went to Thailand last year. I absolutely loved Thailand.
Did you?
Absolutely loved it.
Do you still have to apply them budgeting stuff?
Oh, I still absolutely budget.
Just to spend
No. I still definitely budget. So when I go with my friends, I think my friends love travelling with me because they know I'm the one we're not going to just blow our cash. We're actually going to be smart. Do we really need to do this? Is that really worth the money? So even though you go to somewhere, like you mentioned, Thailand is cheaper compared to, for example, the UK, there are still things that, in comparison to their cost of living, is expensive. So you're still like, okay, we can do this, but that is actually quite expensive for Thailand. Yeah. So just because something is the equivalent of £20 for you, for the Thai people, that is actually really expensive. So are we really going to do that? Because that doesn't make sense financially. So I'm still very much that friend. And maybe my friends get tired of me, but I'm like, guys, I don't think it's worth the money. I'm like, let's really sit down and analyse. Do we need to do this? Does that make financial sense? Yeah. So I make sure that I'm still, on that budget and having a good time, but doing it with a reason. We're
going to go on to a game called Dream Commute.
Okay.
So obviously you travel a lot for work, you travel a lot in general. So this is no limitations. If you was to travel for work to work, how would you travel? Mm-hmm. What snacks would you be taking? Who would you be travelling with? What would you be listening to?
Okay, how would I be traveling? I'd probably be driving. I think I would be the one driving, but I get travel sick, so I think that makes sense. Anything else, I'm not going to enjoy it as much. So I'd be behind the wheel, but of a really nice car, like a really plush car. So that'd be me. What snacks would I have? I'm more of a savoury person, so I think I'd have loads of crisps around me, like just all the flavours you can get. I'd have a whole mini bar of crisps. That'd be me. No chocolates, nothing sweet, just all savoury. That'd be me. I think you said who would I be with?
Yeah, anyone in the world.
Okay, I'm gonna say I would be traveling with. I'd be with Ray. I'd be with her, and she'd be playing her songs. Her song would be playing.
Love that.
Yeah.
If you could work anywhere in the world, where would it be?
It would. I think it would be somewhere over in Asia. Like I said, I say Thailand now because that's the only place I've been. I've been Thailand and Hong Kong, but I think it would be somewhere in Asia. I mean, I can't drive there, so I guess we'd have to fly.
And then drive.
Yeah, and then drive the rest of the way. But I think it'll be somewhere in Asia. I love the way of living. I think it's a slower pace, which is what I need in life. But I also love that a lot of my work is here in the UK, and they're ahead. So it's brilliant. I feel like I can get my work done, and everyone's still sleeping in the UK.
We're gonna play a game of this or that.
Okay.
Being the host or being the guest.
Being the host.
Audiobook or podcast.
Audiobook.
Time or money.
Time.
University or apprenticeship.
Apprenticeship.
Selfridges or Poundland.
Poundland.
Solo study or a study group.
Solo study.
6 months budget travel or a 7-day splurge holiday.
Ooh. 7 day splurge holiday.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, love that. So, do you have any tips for anyone that's wanting to create their own podcast or start a new business venture?
I think when I started, I was very nervous. I was someone who, despite making videos, I didn't really put myself out there much, and I didn't know what that would mean. And podcasting was a realm in itself. I'd never really explored it before. Did I have much knowledge on it? No, but I sat down and I researched. So to anyone who wants to start something like that or start something new, make sure you have a understanding. So I spent about 2 days just researching ins and outs. I understood how podcasts work, how you upload, where you upload, what distribution means. I understood everything, right? And then once I felt confident enough in like understanding how it works, I then took the plunge. And I think with social media, we've got a lot of attachment to things like vanity metrics, like how many likes am I gonna get, how many saves, shares. And when you start something new, the chances are it might not take off from the jump, right? Unless you're a massive celebrity or big influencer already, it might take time for you to actually get people interested in what you're talking about. So I would say don't be too attached in those metrics. You know, if you started a podcast and you only get 20 streams in the first couple of weeks, that's okay. That's 20 people who listen to your podcast. And when you actually put it in perspective, 20 people is a lot of people. We have 20 people in this room right now. You'd say, well, it's a bit crowded here, right?
Yeah.
So when you put it in that perspective, you're like, okay, cool. I'm just going to keep going. And I think when you're doing things like that, starting a new business venture, podcast, anything, right? I would say have 1 or 2 cool people that you lean to and that are going to be supportive to you, because not everyone's going to see your vision and not everyone's going to believe in it or give you that encouragement that you'll need to start. And I think initially I spoke to a lot of people when I went to start a podcast, and I would say probably about 85% of them didn't understand what I was doing and didn't really see the value in what I was doing. Yeah. And if I'd listened to that 85%, I might not have started. But because I was so headstrong, I knew I wanted to do it, I carried on. But I would say if I could do my time again, I would just confide in 1 or 2 people, and they would be my core people who are going to keep me accountable and also motivate me to start wherever it is you're going to start.
Oh, that's such good advice, especially about like, because I know that in today's world, everyone's talking about like comment shares. Like, it's good that someone like you is saying like that's not the stuff that matters. Like, it's
not. All you need to focus on is actually providing value. So if you're going to start a business, how am I going to provide value? Or like I said, with me, the podcast, how I'm going to make sure that each episode actually offers value. Because if there's 10 people who listen to it, out of those 10, you want to make sure that they've actually taken something from it and not said, oh, I need 1,000 people to listen to it. Because if 1,000 people listen to something that's terrible, you're not going to get many more streams after that. So you want to make sure that you're actually creating something of use. Because even my podcast now, people find it all the time and go back to episode 1, which to me sounds like cringe because I was 21 when I recorded that. But people are going back to the beginning. But because I focus on value first, it's still, people will listen to it and say, oh my gosh, that was so good. I can take something from that.
And do you always have to keep up with like trends and changes? Like, how do you keep up with finance trends?
On my phone, I have my news app that is curated to all the business and finance news. So every morning I take 5-10 minutes just to go through. I think that was born off the back of, you know, during 2020 when everything was changing. Every week there'll be something new that's been announced in the economy that I really wanted to make sure that I understood what was going on and I was up to date with the new announcements. So I always just make sure that I know what's been announced, what changes have been made, because I know the chances are people are going to ask me, this just been announced, but what does that mean for me and my money? So I want to make sure that I'm always up to date and I know what's been announced and what's changed.
Perfect. So here's a question. Has your career defined you, or have you defined your career?
Oh, I think it's half-half. I think I started pennies to pounds in my final year of university. So I was almost about to graduate, trying to figure out what does that mean for me? What am I going to go into? And then this kind of took off. So that gave me my identity in terms of like, right, this is what I'm going to do. I know my career path. Yeah. But then equally, when you look in like, the finance space, especially when I started, there wasn't many people who looked like me. There wasn't young black women talking about money. So I feel like I made sure to carve a space and made sure to define my career in that sense as well.
Oh, I love that answer, yeah. And did you expect it to be as successful as it was?
Not at all. Yeah. It was a little side hustle, it was a passion of mine. I just wanted to help people, and then it was just slowly things started taking off. I got different opportunities and I was kind of like, okay, well, this looks like it's going to do well. And about 3.5 years ago, I decided to go full time on it because I needed to commit a lot more time than I previously was. And yeah, I'm still shocked, but in a good way, that it's taken off so much and it's doing so well, because I'm just happy just to help people.
And like, what advice would you give people to how to like manage your time? Because I know you do work a lot. We were speaking before and you said that you don't get a day off. Like, how do you manage your time?
I would say don't do like me. Make sure you have some time off. It's important to rest. But I would say make sure that you have a routine. So it's easier if you're working 9 to 5, you kind of have like an enforced routine, because you know you've got to be at work for a certain time, finish at a certain time. But if you are working for yourself, whether it's part-time or full-time, it's so important to have a routine. I remember in the beginning, I used to just wake up whatever time, because I was like, well, I'll just do my own work and I'll just finish whenever I want. But you can't actually do anything properly if you just kind of float through life. So you have to have an enforced routine. You say, right, I'm going to wake up at 7 every day, and from 8 till 9, I'm going to check emails and I'm going to do this. Like, block out your time so you actually have your routine and you know exactly what your day is going to consist of. Obviously, it's subject to change because every day is different. Things might pop up throughout the day. But if you have that rough idea, then you can kind of follow that routine.
So are there any tools or apps that you use to manage your time?
The one thing that is almost like my lifeline is I use Notion. So I have my entire life in Notion. I'm not exaggerating there. All my business life, my personal life, everything is jotted down, because sometimes I will have a random stream of consciousness at like 3 in the morning and I have these big ideas and I'll just pull out Notion and write everything down.
I've never used Notion. Is it like a project management tool, like, or a planning?
I think Notion calls himself like a second brain, and that's how it feels like to me. So it's like a note-taking app, but you can do a lot more than that. So people, like I said, I've got a finance tracker in there. You can create journals in there. You can have a travel itinerary in there. You can literally create it and make it whatever you want. So I've got like my dashboard, and then within my dashboard, I've got my personal life and I've got my business life and I've got my finance and everything. So I just break everything down, and yeah, just my entire life is in there.
How do you set your goals? How do you know what to set yourself?
I feel like I've gone through a process over the years of refining how I goal set, but my biggest thing now is I break it down into, I think it's 4 categories now. So I do business, personal, financial, and spiritual / relationship, whatever you want to do. And then within that, so for my yearly goals, I'll do 3 for each. I used to do I remember there was one year I had 25 goals. And then when you get to the end of the year, if you've only achieved 6, now you feel like a failure. And I realized 25 is just not attainable. So I break it down to 3 for each category. And then within that, each quarter, I will kind of create goals that are building towards the end yearly goals. So I don't know, imagine the goal is to have, I don't know, £10,000 in savings, right? For the first quarter, I might say, right, I'm going to try and make sure I've got £2,000 in savings from January to March. Yeah. So now that's more attainable. Instead of seeing 10,000, you're like, I'm never going to get 10,000. But now if you break it down for 3 months, I can try and put 2,000 in there. You know, it makes things feel more achievable and it kind of gives you actionable steps. Obviously, I do three for each category for yearly, break it down into quarterly, and then like I said, each month I'll kind of make it even smaller than that I can make sure I'm following and trying to achieve as well. Would
you say that you applied that when you were studying, that type of breaking it down into smaller pieces?
Yeah, I think, because that's when I realised that things are so overwhelming. Like I remember, like I mentioned, I studied languages, and languages is very hard. I can speak French fluently now, and people always think that I came from a background where my parents spoke French. My parents speak English and that's it, nothing else, right? So I speak French fluently purely from academia, from studying.
Yeah.
And having a goal of like, I want to speak French fluently, and you're right at the beginning feels, well, I can't do that. But now if I have a step like, okay, I want to be able to hold a conversation, and within that, I want to know how to say, how are you, and where are you going? You know, you break it down, now it feels like I can actually get to the final goal, which is, I never thought I'd be able to speak French fluently, but I'm here and I can, and that's all because I just took the baby steps and made sure that I could actually get to the big goal.
Have you ever experienced burnout, and if so, how do you manage it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the first time I was ever burnt out, I didn't know what it was. I remember just feeling so deflated and so tired, I just couldn't do anything. Now I'm very acute to my personal warning signs, so I know my body's getting really tired, when I'm kind of zoning out, and when it's more when I can't focus on things anymore, or when I feel just so drained I don't want to get out of bed anymore. That's when I know I'm kind of reaching the point of I need to rest. And when I get to that point, I take a day or two. I try to do 2 days now because I work quite a lot. So I'll take 2 days where I don't do any work. So my laptop is on the other side of the room, or something's in another room. My dad will confiscate it from me if I can't do any work. And I will just focus on the things that I enjoy. So like I said, I like reading, I have all my favourite TV shows, or I'm also a gamer, I love to game. So all the things that I enjoy, I'll make sure that those 2 days are filled with that. Yeah. And if there's food that I want to have that I really enjoy, that's what it's filled with. And it's just to give me more energy and kind of get me back in a better place. Because I think sometimes, especially when you own a business like me, it's hard to switch off, you know. You're always thinking about the next thing. You're always thinking about, like, sometimes I'll wake up and I'll be like, oh my gosh, yeah, I need to send this, or yeah, I need to do that. And that's not healthy, and that also leads to me burning out. So I'll just make sure I switch off for 2 days and just do all the things that I enjoy. And then day 3, I'll reassess, do I need another day? Am I all right? Okay, cool. Then I'll gradually ease myself back into work, and I feel a lot better when that happens.
Yeah. Do you want to play another game?
Let's go for it. I love games.
So this is called Rank These.
Okay.
So there's 3 things, and you just need to rank them in order, 1 to 3.
Okay.
1 is love that. 3 is not so much. Apprenticeships, university, and online study.
Okay, I'm gonna put apprenticeships 1, online study 2, and university 3.
Oh, why is that?
Like I said, apprenticeships, wish I did it, but I think it's amazing and great for students who want to explore their career. Online study, I think, open up a world for people to learn new things that they might not have had a chance to at school. And in university, it's good. I like my experience. Would I put it as top? Not really. It costs a lot for what it is. Yeah, there's other ways to learn, I think I'd say.
I know what you mean. And like, what would you say to people that say that you can't get as much out of online study? Do you know, you're not interacting with people and stuff like that? I
think studying, like most things, is what you make it. People go to school and don't use it to the fullest ability. The same with online studies. If you want to find a forum online and interact with people, if you want to find people in your local area who also study the same thing, you can do that. So I feel like online studies is as much or as little as you make it.
So thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Have you had a good time?
I've had an amazing time. You've been incredible.
Amazing, thank you. So before we let you go, we asked the guests one last question, and what does career goals mean to you? Career
goals to me is something that is adaptable, it's ever-changing, and just because you've made a decision once doesn't mean you can't explore something different in the future. And just to be open to what that looks like for you.
Perfect, love that. And where can people find out more about you?
If you want to learn more about Pennies to Pounds, we are on all social media as Pennies, i.e. S2 on everything. And if you want to find me, it's Kia Commodore on everything as well.
Amazing. So thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to find out more about our accounting and finance courses, head over to our website at kaplan.co.uk. Remember to like, comment and subscribe, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you.